Okay, so today we're going to talk about your visual self-portrait. So you have filled out a bunch of questions on your likes, your dislikes, mostly your likes, and across the board. All right, so then we're just going to go into Vector. So make sure you go to vector.com up here, and this should be the first screen that you see. When you get here, I don't want you to click Use Online because this project should take multiple days and you want to be able to save it. So we want to go to Login. All right, from here, you are going to go to the G, right? Because we have a Gmail account. So you're going to go to Google Sign In. All right, for me, I've got like a million accounts. So I'm going to click Jenna McKnight. All right, and what it will do now is it will prompt you to make a username. I've already done that. So mine's very simple. It says J McKnight. Okay, and then here are some projects that I have in Vector that have been saved. So I was just testing one out here, but here's one that should be on there that like Vector has on there that you can learn different things. So what we first want to do is we want to come up here and we want to say create file. And then here we go. Okay, so later on, I'll tell you how to save it and how to name it and those kinds of things. But right now, we just have our blank canvas. And the first thing that you would like to do, well, that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take a rectangle, click it up in the upper corner. And if it's not perfect, it's okay because we can always go back and change it. And then you're going to make a rectangle the size of your paper. And you get to decide what the color background you want. But remember, we're going to be adding a bunch of stuff on here. So I personally am going to go to black because then I can use any color on top and I'll be able to see it. Whereas with this neon green, let's say, you're going to have to be very careful. Like yellow wouldn't look so good on top of it, those kinds of things. But if you don't like yellow, then you have nothing to worry about, right? So if I want to change it, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to click the green and then I'm going to change it to black. I can also come here and change how see-through it is, which is, depending on what you want to do, that could look really cool as well. But I'm going to do black and then I'm going to click out of it. If I click the black again, it doesn't, well, it went away that time. One time I did it and it didn't go away. So if I click the black again, it'll go away. You also, I don't have this part checked, and this would be for the border. So if I check it, then this automatically, this rectangle will get a border. And I don't really want a border. You can make your border thicker too. See how now we have the green on the outside here. If I want to change that color, I can come and make it. Oh, why did it change both? That's interesting. There we go. I don't know why it changed both. Maybe, oh, I might have selected both accidentally somehow. But you can change your inside color and your border color, and you can change how thick that is. You can also change the way that the border is. So this would be on the inside of your square or rectangle, I should say, if you wanted it on the outside of it. Generally, when we talk about it, everything goes on the center, which is like right down the middle of the line. So it's completely up to you on where you want it to be. If you don't want it at all, just come over here and click that, and then you don't have it. So I'm going to switch this back to black. So again, click the color, click black, click the color again. You can then like change shadows and all that different kinds of things. It's completely up to you what you guys want to do. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to lock this background. I don't really want it to move. I don't want to do anything with it. So I'm going to come over here on my layers palette on the left-hand side. And when I click here, when I'm not even clicking, when I hover over here, very faintly, there's a lock button. And then there's like an eyeball button. If I click the eyeball button, it takes it away because I can't see it, which is very helpful in certain instances. But right now we don't really need that. So I'm going to click the lock button that's next to it. And now it shows up a little bit more so that if my cursor is not on it, I can see, hey, it's locked because that is showed up. So now I have all this. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to start to think about like your questionnaire that you took and how are you going to represent those things visually and we're just going to really do like outlines, shapes, simple things, but how can you do that? So one thing you could do is think about different lines and shapes that you like and then start making them. So I'm going to take the pen tool, and I will tell you, this is a little bit tricky because it always starts off black. I'm just going to let you know that. So I haven't found a way to change the color right off the bat because when I click on it, the color palette doesn't come up over here on the right-hand side. So when you use the pen tool, oh wait, I haven't clicked in. I clicked out of it, sorry. When I use the pen tool, remember we make a point and now things show up. And so I'm just trying to make this like little round shape here. And if I keep going, I could totally keep going, but if I just wanted this shape, that's all I want is this curvy line with like sort of straight on the end, I can press enter on my keyboard and then that takes my pen off of it. So now I can modify it. It's already set for me. You might have found that when you start using the pen tool, this little box over here is checked and let's say it's like red and you'll find that there's like an inside color. You may want that. You may not want that. Right now, I don't want that. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on here and it's going to take that away. I also don't want it to be this thick. That's pretty thick. So I'm going to actually type it in because I want to bring it down to like 3. Oh, I must have not clicked it. Okay. I clicked out of it. So I'm going to click it again, make sure it's selected. I'm going to click this and whoa, what is happening here? There we go. I must be moving my cursor in a weird way. So I want it to be a 3. You can see as when this is selected, it gives you some different options when you hover over it. So it can flip horizontally, it can flip vertically, you can send it to the back, which means like behind whatever you have, or you can bring it to the front. So that's a really nice tool that you can do. Again, we have shadows that you can use. You can change the opacity of it, which is how see-through it is, those kinds of things. One thing that I really love about this is, let's say I did this and I'm like, hey, I want to change the shape a little bit. If I double click on it, then my points come up. So from here, I can come here and then when I get close to a point, my cursor changes and I can make it shorter, I can make it longer, I can make it in more, whatever you would like to do, you can do that. If I double click a point, especially one that's on a like rounded area, then my handles come up, okay? So my handles come up. Remember, we talked about these guys, and you can change the curvature of it. I can also double click like you saw, and it will change, it'll take the curve completely out. So that might be something to look at as well. I'm gonna double click it back and make it go back, but when it goes back, I have to just sort of modify. I want like a sort of rainbowy type thing, I guess. I don't know, I'm gonna bring this in a little bit here. There we go. And actually, I want to shorten this up a little bit like that. Okay, and I want to make multiples of these. So instead of actually having to make them with my pen tool, I'm going to click, oh man, here, sorry. You have to like click out of it. There we go. If you click on the line, which I always have a habit of doing, it puts another point on it. So like if I double clicked again here, see how that point was added in because I clicked on the line. It's not a big deal. It's not hurting anything. It actually makes it so that if I really wanted to, I could make this point stretchy or whatever I want to do. So I just always have a bad habit and I have to remember not to do that. So I have to click, you click sort of around it and then it selects the whole thing. So I want to make sure, I want to make multiple of these. So I'm going to press Control C and then I'm going to press Control V and I'll get another one. And I want one more. So I'm going to press Control V again and here we go. I'm going to take these, making sure I've got my little, see, I need to grab that. Okay, making sure I've got my, whoa, it sucked at all of them. Okay, here we go. Making sure I've got my little cross, like my little cross with my arrows on it, because then that means I can move. And I want to stack these guys on top of each other a little, and I might have to move their ends a little bit, but that's okay. So I'm going to click out of it and click back on this one, making sure I've got my little crosshairs and putting it together like this. So as you can see, there's some areas here that I don't necessarily want. So I'm going to come to this one on top and I'm going to double click so that I get my points. I'm going to come here. And actually, I'm not even going to, I didn't want to do that. I'm not going to move it with my mouse. I'm moving it with my arrows. And then I press enter when I'm done. So I'm going to select the second one, double click, find the end point here. And I'm going to use my arrows to move it over to make it somewhat lined up with the other one, okay? There's little areas here which I might be able to fix. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's not perfectly lined up. So if I go over again, That makes it a little bit better. So I'm going to change that on this last one too. So double click, find that point and use my arrow to move it over just one and then press enter to get out of it. Remember, if you want to get out of it, always press enter and then it'll go away for you. So I want these to stay as a group. The easiest way I have found is to go to your layers palette, click on one of them, press shift, click on the other one that you want as a group and click on the other one you want as a group. Then you can come over here and again, you have more, now that you have multiple things selected, more options pop up for you. So before we only had like the flip horizontally, flip vertically, bring to back, those kinds of things. So now we have our group, our unite together, if we would like. We have our subtract, we have our intersect, and then we have our exclude, which I think all 4 of these options give you a really cool look if you were like just messing around with it and trying something different. Like I really like this. And I think I'm gonna keep it actually. So I'm gonna exclude them and then I'm gonna come down here and make sure my little cross with my arrows is in the middle and I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna say, oh, it's already grouped, sorry. Because I used one of these options up here, it is already grouped together, so I don't necessarily need to do that. And you can see that up here, that it's all one thing now, but whereas before it was like 3 different options. And you can label them if you want. So if I click here and double click, that comes up and I can say like purple lines or purple group, let's say, because I might make purple lines later on. Just press enter and there you go. So now you have that. The other thing that you can do, so you can make lines, you're going to think about how you're going to be expressing yourself and the colors that you're choosing, the lines that you're using, you know, those kinds of things. But the other thing to think about is what kind of shapes do you like and what can you use? And I know right now there's only like a circle, a rounded, a rectangle, and a regular rectangle that are up. But if you go to the 3 dots down here, you can find many more things. So I love hearts. I do. And I know they're sort of like superficial, but I really do love hearts. So I'm going to make a heart here and I can make it as big or as little as I want, skinny hearts if I wanted to, whatever I'm going to do. I actually want to take the middle out, like the fill in. So I'm going to click this little button over here again, and it disappeared because I don't have my border clicked. So if I click here, now it shows up purple like my other one. I'm actually going to change it to, I don't know, let's say green, like a neon green color. And again, if I wanted to change my thickness of my lines, I could. And I think that's going to be something that's really beneficial and useful is changing up the thickness of the lines and how you want things to look. So I'm just going to take this and I sort of want it overlapped with this. And then I can see like, do I need it to be a little bit thicker? Do I need to change these lines? Like maybe come in here and change these guys up a little bit and come back in here and change this up, make it a little bit thicker. I like that a little bit better. But there's lots of different things that you can do. I'm going to make a line here. I'm going to press shift to make sure I get a straight line, and then I'm going to press enter because I just want a line. I don't want like anything else. And I actually want to copy this. So I'm going to do Control C, V, 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 and I would like a bunch of them. So I'm going to keep them like this. Now I want to do something with these guys all together. I like how when I copy them, they turn into like this staircase type thing. So then again, I'm going to go to my layers over on the side here and I'm going to click on one of them and I'm press shift and I'm going to select, and I'm holding shift the whole time, select all of these. And you can see now that they're a group together. And again, you can come in here and like flip them vertically, horizontally. These don't really work because they're not really doing anything, like they're not overlapping each other in any way. But I would like to make these a little bit skinnier. And I'm going to change these to a yellow, let's say. Oh, that's not bad, a golden yellow. All right, and again, you can change, I like the thinner lines for this, and I can come and take these, and I want to group these together. I like them to stay together. So because I haven't used any of these special tools up here, I have to physically group them together myself. So I'm going to right click, and then I can come down and I can say, group together. I can always come back if I wanted to and undo that. If I right click again, there's an ungroup option. I'm not going to click that right now because I don't want to. And I can take these and put them on the top. If I wanted to have them somewhere else, I can do Control C, Control V, and I can take these and put them down here. I actually would like them to be rotated. So I'm going to try to figure that out here. Oop, what happened? Okay. There we go. Okay, so I just clicked on the side. I bet you it's black and you can't see it. So I'm going to rotate this and I'm going to make them a little bit skinnier and a little bit longer. Actually, I'll make them a little bit skinnier again. And I want them to just sort of go on the side here. Okay, so I've got two yellow groups here and I'm going to label them so that I know what they are. So this first group is this one right here. So I'm going to double click and I'm going to say yellow or yellow line horizontal. Okay, and I'm going to double click here and I'm going to say yellow, here I'll move my cursor, line vertical. All right, so now I know which one is which because I'm going to have this whole board filled up and eventually I'm going to forget what is where. And I'm going to need to know sometimes, like if I wanted to bring something to the front or bring something to the back, and what I would like to do. So one other thing is if you wanted to, remember we can join things together, and I'm going to do control, I want to make like a flower shape. So I'm going to use this as my first one and I'm going to do Control C and Control V 3 more times. And then I can move these to make like a flowery shape here. Oh, there's the rotating. So it does show up when you go to the corner. It's just hard to see sometimes when you have a black background. And I like that when I'm clicking and moving, you can see these blue lines that are coming up and they're letting me know like, hey, you have it in line with the other ones or you don't have it in line. I think that's a really useful tool. So I'm going to come over here because I want all of these selected and I'm going to go to my layers palette again. I'm going to click on one and then press shift and click the other ones. And I actually want to group these together. I already know that I want them to be united and not just as a group, but like their shapes are blending together. So I'm going to do that. And then I want to get rid of my background color and I want to add a border color on. And let's do that one. And here now I can make it skinnier, but it's sort of a flowery shape. And then I can come in and make like a circle on the inside. And I can change it to whatever color I would want, like maybe ooh, I like that orangey color. And do that. Oh, that's the border. Hey, if that happens, I'm going to show you a trick. So I wanted the fill to be that color, but I was clicking on the wrong thing because I've been so used to changing the border color. But let's say I find this color and I'm like, oh man, I did the wrong thing. If I go back into the color, here is where it tells you what the color number is. So if I click on that and I press Control C, I can get out of it. So I clicked on it, clicked on this, press Control C. All right, I can come up here and then I can click on this and press Control V and it pastes the color for me. And now it changes to that color that I really like. So that is something to think about when you're working with this. I want to actually take this outside and I'm going to Control C, Control V, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to try to make it like, yeah, like that. So there's so many different things you can do just by rotating and combining things. And I want this to be grouped together again. So I'm going to come to my layers palette and press shift as I'm selecting all of these. And I don't want to use any of these guys, but I want to take a right click and I want to say group together. And now I have this cool thing. Now from here I can say, I don't know if I like that. So let me test out like if I want to bring this to the front. So if I wanted these lines brought to the front, I could use one of these tools up here, okay? And it automatically, I don't know, watch my layers palette, watch up here. So if I move it to the front, it automatically makes my layer, that yellow line layer, go up to the top of it because it's on top of everything. So I think I like that right now. I like that this is behind, and I'm actually going to make this a little bit smaller. And I'm going to label this. I forgot to label this. So I'm going to label it like blue flower. All right, so now I know where things are, but my job is to, I'm just using my arrows here to sort of change, to move it over a little bit. I don't know what I want yet, but your job is to fill this up and make a good composition. Like, and I'm not saying you can't change it. Like, I still am unsure about these guys up here, but I could always move them. And your job is sort of to make this big composition of things that represent you. I would stay away from filling in too many things. I like the, use the outlines, think about different kinds of music you like if you were to have drawn during that music time, what would it look like if you're listening to a song, like what would it look like in lines and shapes and colors, your favorite song, those kinds of things. We're not going to do any writing, we're not going to do anything along those lines, but I want you to make this visual representation of you. And it could even be that you're just adding lines on, and they are somewhat sort of leading from one thing to another thing. You're stacking them on top, and from here, maybe there is, like I love soccer. Soccer is a big passion of mine, so maybe I make something that sort of looks like a cleat, and that's part of it. I make something a little bit more horizontal. And I'm actually going to change the color so that when I'm working with it, I can see it. But I'm going to take this and move it on top here. And how can I change this? So if I double click, I get those same points that I get if I were double clicking here when I was moving it around. So if I click this and I bring it down into it a little bit, and I can double click and get where my handles, there we are, handles to sort of come up a little bit. I can get the back of the shoe, so there's a lot of things that you can sort of mess around with to try to get, and that doesn't look so bad. And then I would come in here and I could make a bunch of tiny little circles, or yeah, like that. And I would make them and put them on here. I did too many. It's sort of hard to see because of I want to take this guy and delete it. I don't want it, but I can come in here then and modify these. And if I use my keyboard and I use my arrows, gives me a little bit of a better idea of where things are moving to and what they look like. And because they're so close together, I have to sort of click out of it a little bit. So that I can click the other thing. So that's not a bad shoe. Now, what I would want to do personally, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to select all of these things that made my shoe up. And I'm going to take the border color. I don't want the background. I don't want any color inside of it. So I'm going to take that out and I'm going to make them, what color do I want? Actually, I'm going to stick with an orange because that was the color in college. Our colors were black and orange. So I'm going to do orange here, and then I'm going to join them together. And when I join it together, it has like this cleat shape. Now, is it perfect? By no means is this guy perfect, but I can come in here and sort of mess with it a little bit more. Like that doesn't look good. But I can also Just moving things around. And I know that I've joined them together, but that doesn't mean that I can't sort of modify it a little bit. Let's see what that looks like. Actually, that doesn't look bad. Even with that little jut there, it sort of looks like the tongue of the shoe. I like that shape a little bit better. Is it perfect? No. Is it going to be perfect? No. Is that okay? Yes. I'm actually going to bring this up just a touch. There, see, I like that. Here, we'll get out of it. I like that a little bit better because it brings that back of the shoe up. But I could take this then and, oops, and have it like be connected to these lines here that sort of come from wherever. And maybe that's too much orange, which I think it is. So then maybe I just make them white. You know, it's okay to have just white in here too. And I know I have a lot of color in here, and maybe you're sticking with a color scheme and you're going with a different route. But think about how you can, you know, convey who you are, what you stand for, you know, those kinds of things through this visual storyline. Okay, so you can see that I have worked a little bit more on my visual self-portrait, and everything in here means something. Some of it just may be like, hey, I really liked how this shape turned out, and I like the color interaction with the other colors around it, but there are some pretty significant things in here for me. And what I wanted to show you now is how to save. So right now, one thing I want to talk to you about is that I forgot to talk to you about is down here on the lower right-hand corner, you can zoom in, which I sort of forgot about, and then you scroll up and down, back and forth, anything. Oh, uh-oh. Oh no, it didn't save. I don't even know what happened. Okay, hold on. Oh no. Let's see if I can, oh. Okay, so I just lost all my work. I don't even know how that happened. I didn't even save it before I talked to you guys because I wanted to show you how to save. All right, so I don't even know what happened, but I guess be careful when you're scrolling. So you can definitely make things bigger. I mean, obviously, like I'll draw something on here so you guys can see. What? There are some of my things here. This is interesting. What if I made this larger? Huh. Very interesting. And it has this weird, like, it's doing something. I don't know what's happening, but maybe it's trying to remember what is going on. I don't know. But anyway, I guess lesson for everybody is to save it as you go throughout. So I would save it generally. Often, I think we're not used to saving because Google Docs and everything like that saves for us. So just make sure you are saving things throughout lesson learned, right? But don't forget about the zoom in or zoom out button. It really is very helpful. So in order for you to save, go to this little arrow and click on it. Okay, cancel. How come it's not letting me? This is what I did before, and it let me save. Interesting. Am I in my profile? I am. Okay, well, good thing we're doing this together so that you guys know. I can pages here. So, okay, we're going to try this because last time I did this, it saved it. I just pressed the back button and it was there. So we're going to leave and see what it does. See if it shows up. Okay. Oh, wow. Wow. Look at that. It's like my whole thing, but with a big thing on the top. Okay, let's try that. So what you're going to do is press that arrow button, and then I would come here and I would click here and I would title it. So portrait 2, because I already did that. Okay, so it is saved. I can then come in here and click open. Let's see what happens. It's very interesting here. Ah, I don't know what happened. I think there's a lot of things on my page. So I'm actually going to take this guy and I'm going to delete it. So I'm clicking on it and pressing the delete button. So here is my visual self-portrait again. Okay, so once you're here, again, save it. Please, please, please save it. You press this back button. No matter what it asks you, just say, okay. I know it's very nerve-wracking. Trust me, I was like, "Ah," and then you can come and save it, and here you go. So this is the one that I had worked on before that we saw in the very beginning. So essentially I could come back and work on that and like do whatever I wanted here, and make it, I don't know, some crazy color. Oh, went away. Oh, I think Vector is having a little bit of an issue as of right now. Oh, because I didn't click color. Duh. Okay. So maybe I'm having the issue, right? So, then I can come back here and I could go here and it should be saving it. And I don't see it on here. So let's double check, right? I always double check. So last edited 4 hours ago. Let's see. It might need some time to save as well. Oh, there. See, there you go. So use this little back button, come here, and then it should save all of your stuff, but you cannot save it unless you are logged in. So you need to make sure you are logged in the very beginning, and then you'll have all of your stuff. But your job right now is to make your visual self-portrait. You will be explaining it. So make sure that you can explain things, even if it's just the fact like, hey, I really liked how these shapes looked with the colors together. I'm really drawn to this right now, like those kinds of things.